And trouble brewing, euthanasia campaigner Philip Nitschke under scrutiny again.
You can have the cylinder, you can brew with it, and if you want to at some later stage, I guess you can use the system to end your life.
Euthanasia advocate Philip Nitschke is facing another investigation. In the past, he's been censured for his advocacy of euthanasia drugs. This time it's over the distribution of gases. A shelf company he created has been selling nitrogen cylinders, usually used in home brewing, but which can also be lethal. There's nothing illegal in the operation, but it could cost him his registration as a doctor. Mike Sexton reports, and a warning, some viewers may find this story distressing.
It's an odd sight. Voluntary euthanasia campaigner Philip Nitschke sitting in a car park in Sydney's North Shore, waiting for customers. Inside his van are pre-ordered cylinders of nitrogen from his new home brewing company.
Good day, Jim. How you going?
Two.
Yep, no worries. We'll just grab...
For some customers, the contents of these brown bags has nothing to do with a fine ale. Instead, it represents a legal way of ending life.
Nitrogen is a gas which is never going to be restricted. We're all sitting here breathing it right now, 80% of the air, and it presents an option which a lot of people are finding quite appealing. So we can't keep up with it. This is the second lot of 100 that we've been sold. We've got another 100 on order from China now. Okay, that's fine.
Oh look, they're all in Christmas gift wrap.
But in doing this, Philip Nitschke finds himself once again under professional scrutiny that threatens his future as a doctor.
This is a very, very serious public safety issue, and I think the marketing of it and the distribution methods of it suggest to me that there's a wanton disregard for public safety.
It's this familiar sound that's causing the latest argument in the debate over the rights of Australians to decide how they die. The bubbles in stout are created during the brewing process by using nitrogen. Other beers use carbon dioxide, which means for home brewers a cylinder of inert gas is an essential piece of equipment. Dr Nitschke, through his new company Max Dog Brewing, is selling bottles of nitrogen for two reasons.
You can have the cylinder, you can brew with it, and if you want to at some later stage, I guess you can use the system to end your life. And I'm not being too flippant about this. The fact is there are two quite separate uses for this gas.
The big difference is one question of legality. Gas is illegal. Smuggling in prohibited substances like Nembutal certainly isn't.
Philip Nitschke has spent much of his life at the legal and ethical edges of how people can end theirs. 730 filmed one of his information seminars held recently at a Sydney community centre. The audience had registered with Dr Nitschke's organisation Exit International and for 3 hours discussed openly end-of-life issues. During the seminar, Philip Nitschke outlined his new growth area in the sale and use of inert gases,
which provide people with a peaceful, reliable, and in the case of the gases, totally legal means of ending your life.
Does the nitrogen have a lifetime guarantee, so to speak?
So to speak, absolute lifetime guarantee.
Veteran political commentator Ross Fitzgerald has ordered a cylinder. The 68-year-old will soon undergo major surgery and says he wants his affairs in order in case things go wrong.
I don't want to be in a situation when I'm older of suffering dreadful pain, being completely out of it, being a source of concern and despair to my wife and my daughter and my friends. And I'm also a person that likes to be an agent and not a pawn. I like to be someone who has some control about the way in which I go out.
Paul Russell blogs for an online network called Hope that opposes moves to legalise euthanasia. He argues advances in palliative care mean terminally ill patients can be cared for while being protected from potential harm.
I really fear for elderly people who are perhaps in an abusive situation. The phenomenon of elder abuse is becoming more common and more known, and I can foresee an opportunity in this for someone with sinister motive perhaps to order a canister, to prepare it, and perhaps to dispose of a relative for the sake of the inheritance, or just to simply have them out of the way.
Paul Russell's complaint about Dr Nitschke's distribution of nitrogen has led to an inquiry by the Australian Health Practitioners Agency, which has the power to deregister doctors if they're not considered a fit and proper person. It's not the first such complaint. More than 12 months ago, APRA began an investigation into Dr Nitschke about alleged plans to import the drug Nembutal that can be used to end life. South Australian police have also investigated, but no charges have been laid.
The paradox is in Australia, of course, is that whereas that non-crime suicide is something which the law seems quite comfortable with, assisting is certainly a crime. And it's the only example of in law where assisting someone to do something which is lawful is a crime. And that's an anomaly which really does need to be removed.
I think there are significant problems, and I think ultimately the organisation probably does deserve to be put under the scrutiny of perhaps a parliamentary committee or something like that.
Now, the disclaimers are...
The Australian Health Practitioners Agency says it doesn't comment on individual cases, and Dr Nitschke says he hasn't heard when either inquiry will conclude. In the meantime, he'll continue spruiking home brew accessories for those interested in them for other reasons.
I'll be simply telling you what other people do. It's up to you to decide whether you want to do that or not do it. But I am suggesting that it would be wise to think ahead.
Mike Sexton reporting, and if you're suffering from depression, you can call Lifeline on 131114.